welcome to a week of making stuff. Whether it works or it doesn't, it was my husband who said, you know, you're always making something and you've got the photo gear. You should record it and share it and just see what happens. So for no good reason, here I am just filming whatever I have going on this week, or whatever I'm making this week. So it's not a tutorial. Some things went well, some things didn't, but welcome to a week of making things. Starting off with mascara. Now, I'm not a makeup person, but I just really hate buying mascara, but I do use it. So I took some activated charcoal and coconut oil and what I thought was beeswax, because the container says 100% beeswax. But it turns out it's mostly petroleum jelly, so I was bamboozled. Anyway, I melted these in the microwave and mixed them together and added in the activated charcoal powder. And it didn't turn out so bad, but this is my homemade face powder that I made out of stuff in my kitchen, by the way. Anyway, it didn't turn out so bad, but it kind of got all over my face because it didn't harden properly. So I'm gonna have to try it again with 100% actual beeswax and see if that has the hardening that I want. There's me being my own personal eyelash curler and getting ready for the day. I don't really know if this counts as making something, but I do make my own hand soaps, and I was out. And it's just using a soap concentrate and then filling up the rest with water, so. But this was Dr. Bronner's eucalyptus, and I really like this stuff. But that saves some money on hand soap. I want to paint my dining room, and I'm trying to be better about picking paint colors and actually buy the way too expensive samples and test them. I mean, I'm not about to dirty a paintbrush. I don't want to have to wash that, but we're going to do some finger painting, and we are going to put this next to the wall. It was my friend Caroline who taught me a little bit about color theory here, because the wood in my house is so warm toned that as much as I'm drawn to maybe the cooler toned green, I like that one better, I think it actually has the inverse effect and makes the wood appear warmer. Whereas if I put a warmer green next to the warm wood, it kind of has a neutralizing effect. So I might go with that color. Anyway, setting the mood to do a task that I do not want to do. This dishwasher has not been fully installed since we moved in a year ago into this house, and today's the day that I'm gonna attempt to fully install it. So first we have to unload the dishwasher, and I don't know if you can tell, but it is not it's not installed. It just kind of pops out like that, and we've been living with it for a year. So I used the wrong drill bit, and then I used the right drill bit, and then I used the wrong kind of screws, and then I used the right kind of screws, and I don't want to talk about it. I couldn't get it, so that's sad. So moving on to making rice. I can do that. I just do a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 cup of rice to 1 cup of water. 2 cups rice, 2 cups of water. I put it in the Instant Pot, and I click the button, rice. Should I wash my rice? Probably. I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but the thing says rice, so that never fails me. I am making what is called Korean bowls. I don't know how Korean this actually is, but it's delicious to me. So the night before, I had made some beef, and without measuring anything, just threw in a whole bunch of garlic. I always do a whole bulb of garlic. I don't know if that's normal, but I love garlic. A ton of minced ginger, soy sauce, honey, red pepper flakes. What else? You want it really sweet and really salty, and a little spicy. So, maybe some rice vinegar. I don't know. If you look up on Pinterest, Korean beef bowls, there's a bunch of different recipes. And then I'm chopping up some cabbage and cucumber and carrot super thin. And I will put that with my rice and my beef from yesterday. And of course, compost all the scraps. Ugh, here's me trying to install this dishwasher again. See, this bit is made even for quartz. Granite, glass, all of it said. But I just couldn't get it. And that's me realizing that screw is way too long. Anyway, I continue to try. I'm truly sweating. Alright, so you take your beef, you take your rice, you take your raw veggie. But here's the thing, the plain rice and the plain veggie is a little plain, even if the beef is really sweet and salty. So I seasoned the rice and the veggie with just a little extra rice wine vinegar and soy sauce, and then sesame seeds on top, and then spicy mayo. And I'm just really having a moment with this meal. It's just so good. I've talked to a couple of friends about it recently too. And I never eat like raw vegetables because they're boring. But this is a great way to do it. There I was doing some photo contracts for photo work, and now we're gonna try a plant experiment. So I'm wanting to grow sprouts, mostly because I've been wanting to grow something, and it's not exactly time to plant in my little garden yet. So I had this tray that I found in the shed, and I had one bag of potting soil. So I'm just spreading some out, and then I have some sprouts seeds. I don't even know what, I don't know, it might be broccoli sprouts. I forget what the sprouts are even made of. It's a mix. I washed them because it said I had to. And then I sprinkled them on, probably way too thick, but I don't know. I just really wanted it to work. I wanted something to grow. And I just kind of zhuzhed them in there like this, unaware of what I was doing. Watered it, and put it right here in my perfect little grow box window in my kitchen. All right, you know those tasks that I've just been staring you in the face for 1,000 years, but you'd kind of rather die than do it? That has been all these holes in the walls. So I finally used that special metal mesh, I don't know what it's called, whatever, the special metal mesh, and spackled over all the holes. And now it is time to sand that spackle. So here's me trying to pretend like my hallway was clean. And I'm just sanding away. This house used to have like old thermostats and internal vacuuming, and none of it worked. So my dad helped us kind of rip out or close up all of those spots, and then I just repaired the drywall. And those little spots like behind the rocking chair in the nursery. Safety first. Okay, so then the ceiling, I also haven't addressed it since we've moved in. This is old water damage, luckily, so it's not new, but whatever this peeling stuff is, oh, there's the best thing I ever made, right there. He's cheering me on. Listen, don't judge me. I should probably scrape off all of whatever that is. Is that paint? Like, what is that? I don't know. But then I thought, well, what if I just patched it and sanded it and painted over it? Not sure what that other balance hand is doing, but anyway, we're gonna try to patch this and sand it, and then if it's still like cracking and crumbling and falling apart, then maybe I'll try plan B. But while I had the spackle out, that's the thing, while it's out, while all this stuff is out, you just gotta do it. So
some good chickpeas.
I also roasted up some chickpeas for me and the baby, which sounds like not good, but it's so good. You do garlic powder and paprika and salt and wait till they get really crispy and lots of olive oil. So surprisingly good. So thanks, dear Molly, for getting me on the roasted chickpea train, watering some of my million plants. I've no schedule, rhyme, or reason for doing this. When one starts to look sad, they all get watered. Same day, same time. And if they can't survive my schedule, they get cut. They die. Here are a few bulbs that I planted in the fall, and they actually kind of worked. It felt like magic. You put these bulbs in the ground in the fall and in the spring. These guys were here. So fun. Okay, yes. I'm on the sourdough train. but it tastes so good. It's so good. And I guess it's like fine for you. It's good for your gut or something. That's what everybody says. But it just tastes so good. So I'm feeding my starter. I don't measure anything. I just wait till it's gloopy. So look, it's gloopy. That works. My baby's in a big playing with lids stage. Now we're vacuuming up the sanding dust. I didn't get around to sanding all the rest of it till several days later, but whatever. I got the downstairs dust. Alright, that night, once my starter is nice and bubbly after who knows what amount of time, I do my most simple sourdough recipe ever. And I don't know. I do it in a way I haven't seen on the internet, which is where I pretty much mix everything up real good and then just leave it. And then whenever it's ready in the morning, I shape it and I bake it. So yeah, that's really it. I don't do stretch and folds or anything. I don't know, anything where it's like, come back in every 30 minutes, every 3 hours, I'm out. I just cannot be bothered. But this process is so therapeutic for me. Like, I really love it. So I'm just mixing up my flour, water, starter, salt. Making sure all the flour is hydrated before covering it for the night. All right, a project that will certainly not be done within this week is weeding these beds and creating some sort of edge and mulching. I mean, it's a couple plants and a whole bunch of weeds. So it's time to address this while my son plays with a stick. It's finally so wonderful outside for Michigan in April. So I did not mind hacking away at this huge bed of weeds. I have a long ways to go. I feel like I got like 2 weeds, but we'll get to it. We will. We threw in these hydrangeas in the fall, and I thought they were super dead. But look, there's little bits of growth. So maybe they'll really make a return. We have a gate entrance in our wooden fence, but it is double wide and huge and so heavy, so Ethan's helping to make a more man-sized door in the gate. And this is the dough after it's definitely doubled in size, but it wasn't as bubbly as I would have liked. So it ended up getting more time to rise because I ended up bringing this to my brother and sister-in-law's house and shaping it again and baking it there, because we ended up having dinner over there, and it turned out so great. And I'm realizing now that I definitely do not have any footage of what it turned out like, but trust me, it was really good. Good idea. The reason these sprouts were a major success was I could water them like this and, get water all over my window. But they started to germinate like the next day. Watering them at the kitchen sink was so ideal. So I need to mow for the first time of the season, as you can tell. But I have some herbs that actually made it through the winter that I had plopped in this patch of dirt. So I'm gonna try to transplant them into where I want the garden to actually be. So we'll see how that goes. But I dug them out of the ground so that I could just mow straight over this old patch, but I saved some lavender and sage and parsley and chives. Speaking of chives, they're everywhere! I did not realize that until this year, that wild chives, at least where I am, are all over the place. If you want chives, just go to the park. I found a bunch on the edges of my tiny yard, like growing along the chain link fence. So I grabbed some of those from around the yard too, because I knew I was going to mow them down. And I'm going to see if they survive a transplant too. You never know. Alright, these hydrangeas look very sad. But listen, they were church decor at my parents' church for Easter, and they were giving them away. So I said, why not? But as you can tell by especially this one, they were not doing so hot in a pot. So I thought, well, I'll put them in the ground and water them, and if they still don't make it, you know, it was worth a shot. So there wasn't a lot of thought into where they went. But we're gonna see if they resurrect. Okay, chives on eggs scrambled with Gruyere Swiss cheese and heavy cream. So good. Like almost like a French omelet type thing with the chives. Now we're gonna do a pork roast, except we're not roasting it. I was gonna Instant Pot it. I briefly showed you what seasonings I was using, but I'm going for like a Cuban pork situation, and the flavors were there. Well, except I really wished I had lime, but I had these old lemons I just needed to use. But orange and lime, that sounded so good with the cumin and oregano, and I forget what else was in there. But anyway, seasoning up that pork roast, that's not a roast, and using my potting mix, because that's all I had, just to give these transplanted herbs something, and giving those a water. While I've got the garlic out, and I have some chicken I need to use up, I'm just also gonna make a chicken marinade real quick. Again, I like a lot of garlic. Here I've got, I don't know, a Greek vibe, kind of. I don't know. Olive oil, more of those old lemons that I needed to use, Greek yogurt, garlic, oregano, paprika, something like that. Sorry about this horrible shot of me caressing raw chicken. Okay, to go with the Cuban pork situation, I just really had a hankering for fried plantains. I don't know what came over me, but I've never done this before, but I had it once at a Cuban restaurant one time. So, I don't know, maybe you guys are out eating these all the time, but I've been craving them ever since. So I'm just shallow frying in some neutral oil, some plantains. I learned a lot here. One is that I wish that the plantains were way more ripe. They could have been even sweeter, because then they get all caramelized when they're super sweet. These were still good, but I did wish that I had waited until they were even sweeter. Plantains, so just am not. And then I'm making up some beans with onions and peppers, served that with cilantro and rice and the pork for what was supposed to be a sort of Cuban situation. Later, when I acquired some avocado, I added that for a more creamy element, and it was really good. But I don't know, it needed like a sauce. And the meat, I don't know, the meat kind of turned out kind of dry, but we're gonna troubleshoot it. We'll try it again another time. To go with that Greek-ish chicken, I'm doing a really simple use up what I have, sort of tomato cucumber salad. So I'm just doing baby cucumbers, whatever those are called. Roma tomatoes, red onion, a block of feta I had left, and using up more of those old nasty lemons. And of course, olive oil. After frying it in a cast iron skillet, I just chopped up the chicken and had it with that salad, and I don't know, I needed to beef this meal up a little bit, so I had it with a flatbread. Look at my sprouts, it was really working, and look at this finished gate. Okay, this is a little DIY moment that I don't really recommend, but I ran out of dishwasher pods. I used this combo in the dishwasher and it was fine. Another seeds update, look at them. Okay. Let me put you onto this 3-ingredient pancake recipe that is just everything to me right now. It is just overripe bananas. In this scene, they were a little not ripe enough. Mash them up. Equal number of eggs. So 3 bananas, 3 eggs. You get the idea. And then just add flour until you like the consistency. So good. Literally just bananas, eggs, flour. Is everybody making these? Why did I not know about this? They're so soft and moist and fluffy. Okay, even easier, I put them in my little hand blender, whatever you call it, bullet. I thought this would be messier, but it was way easier clean up, and I liked them thinner and smoother, so I didn't have to spend time mashing. So this, and maple syrup from our friends, and black coffee, and look at my sprouts! It was so working, but look at how many there are. Maybe I overseeded it. Okay. I even prefer chicken thighs, but this week when I put in my grocery order, they didn't have any, so they gave me so many chicken breasts. So I just needed to use them. So I'm just seasoning them up with my go-to trio when I just don't have brain power to get creative. It's just always garlic powder, paprika, and oregano. It's just always good. And olive oil. And maybe some sort of acid. I think I did maybe red wine vinegar. I don't know. Here I'm making more flatbread. It's just flour, oil, water. Is that it? I think that's it. Mixed it up and kneaded it until it was smooth, and then just left it. Then I'm dividing them and rolling them into little balls and letting them sit for a while longer until I'm ready to fry them. Except today, since it was nice enough out and everything was blooming, I decided to whip out our tiny grill. And I grilled the chicken because grilled chicken, in my opinion, is just the best. But then I also wanted to experiment with grilling the flatbread. It might have just been better on the cast iron skillet. I don't know, but I still wanted to try. So this was so yummy. My in-laws had some avocados that they needed us to use when they left on a trip, so I said, don't mind if I do. Put that on a flatbread. Got to try my sprouts. So flavorful and kind of peppery. It was really surprising to me. I thought they would taste like nothing. But yeah, they were so good. And balsamic glaze from Aldi, if you know, you know. And we needed to use up some cabbage. Taste test. Major success. And everything is in bloom. It's so happy. That is some homemade vanilla extract because this day I just really, really wanted biscotti, which sounds like such an old person thing to say. I don't know. I make like a really, really, really not authentic biscotti because I don't like it so dry and crumbly. So I mix it up, form it into this log. Okay, and then this shot is really hard to watch. I'm kind of destroying it. I thought if I like snuck up on it, I don't know. Then you're supposed to turn those and bake them again and bake them again. And I do bake them twice. That's what biscotti means. But just like so much less time than you should. So they're like a little softer and crumblier. And the almond flour, coconut, dark chocolate, it's so good. Also, just this scene right here. This is the kind of scene where I'm like, how is this my life? Okay, then I made a wrap out of our sort of Cuban-ish ingredients. I don't know how many days later, an ER visit and a husband's work trip later, I finally got around to vacuuming up all of the sanding dust. So this is real life, And I'm in my pajamas, so I don't know. I didn't change anything because I had the camera out. We're just living. And the most satisfying part, painting over the sanded patches so it looks like nothing ever happened. But don't look too close because I'm not the best at this. And I'm not a perfectionist in this way. So, yeah. The paint is just wet, but it looked like nothing ever happened. So, that's great. Anyway, thanks for coming along for a week of making things. So let me know in the comments. Did you make anything this week? What'd you make? Did you make something in AutoCAD? Did you make a spreadsheet? Did you make a pizza? Did you make some eggs this morning? Did you make some really neatly folded laundry? What is something that you made this week, whether it worked or not?